11:15 a.m. Mercy General Hospital, Pediatric Ward. A little off the top won't hurt. Dr. Alan Vance grins, the cold steel of the surgical scissors flashing under the fluorescent lights. His $8,000 IWC watch glints as he snips a lock of 16-year-old David Adebayo's freshly braided hair. The curl falls onto the sterile floor. See? A proper haircut, not whatever this is. David's hands clench the worn fabric of his hoodie. Please, stop. He's just a volunteer intern, here to read to sick kids. Dr. Vance, the celebrated head of pediatric surgery, just called his hair a fire hazard. It's just a joke, kid. Toughen up. Vance's voice is slick with condescension. This is a professional environment, not a rap video. The nurses at the station giggle, turning away. But one candy striper, a girl named Chloe, has her phone out, already recording. Have you ever seen arrogance so blinding it walks right off a cliff? 11:12 a.m. 3 minutes earlier. David had been in room 204, reading a story about a brave knight to a 7-year-old with leukemia. He was a good kid, a straight-A student, captain of the debate team, spending his summer volunteering before his senior year. He carried a worn copy of Things Fall Apart in his back pocket and planned to go pre-med. He entered the ward's main hub to return the book just as Dr. Vance was holding court with a group of residents. The problem with these diversity initiatives, Vance said, loud enough for everyone to hear, is you get kids from the inner city who have no concept of professional decorum. He gestured vaguely with his clipboard. They mean well, but they don't belong in a top-tier medical facility. David ignored him, quietly placing the book on the return cart. But Vance's pale blue eyes locked onto him. Case in point, he said, striding over. His $2,000 suit screamed importance. You, the volunteer. What's with the situation on your head? David touched his braids instinctively. It's just my hair, sir. Vance let out a harsh laugh. In my hospital, that's a potential contamination source. Braids can carry all sorts of nasty stuff. It's unhygienic. David's voice was steady, calm. My hair is clean, Dr. Vance. And it's tied back, per hospital guidelines. 11:15 a.m. guidelines are for people who need them, Vance sneered, grabbing a pair of surgical scissors from a nearby tray. Let's just tidy this up. A little off the top won't hurt. He cornered David against the nurse's station. Hold still. The first snip was quick, shocking. A single, perfect braid fell to the linoleum floor. David flinched back. Don't touch me. It's just a joke, kid, Vance said, his grip tightening on David's shoulder. He snipped another braid. Consider it a free lesson in assimilation. You want to be a doctor here one day? You gotta look the part. David's voice trembled with fury. This is assault. He looked at the nurses, pleading with his eyes. They studied their charts, suddenly fascinated by paperwork. Chloe's live stream was now at 92 viewers. Comments started flooding in. OMG. Is he cutting that kid's hair? That's assault. Someone call security. Vance stepped on the fallen braids, grinding them under the heel of his Italian leather loafer. There, he said, admiring his work. Now you don't look like you just rolled in from the streets. David's phone buzzed in his pocket. He ignored it. Another buzz. He pulled it out. The screen lit up with a text. Dad says the board meeting is starting. Don't be late for the 11:30 announcement, Vance scoffed. What's so important? Gotta go meet your boys on the corner? As David put his phone away, a black card with gold lettering slipped from his hoodie pocket and fell to the floor. David Adebayo, guest of the chairman. Vance picked it up, a flicker of confusion on his face before he tossed it back. Probably printed that at home. 11:25 a.m. security guard Frank Miller, a man 2 years from retirement, finally shuffled over. Son, Dr. Vance is a busy man. Let's not cause a scene. He cut my hair, Frank, David said, his voice cracking. He assaulted me. I'm sure it was just a misunderstanding, Frank mumbled, not meeting his eyes. Vance smirked, triumphant. Take him to the volunteer office. His services are no longer required. The live stream viewer count hit 1,834. Chloe, the candy striper, whispered, Hashtag Mercy General Racism is trending. David's phone rang. This time, he answered, putting it on speaker. "David, my boy, where are you?" The voice was deep, laced with a calm authority and a distinct Nigerian accent. "I'm downstairs, Dad. There was a situation." "A situation?" the voice continued, unhurried. "Well, wrap it up. The board is waiting. We can't announce the new chief of pediatric surgery without you." Absolute silence fell over the ward. Dr. Vance's smug grin evaporated, replaced by a pasty, slack-jawed horror. David looked directly at Vance, a cold fire in his eyes. "Actually, Dad, the man I wanted to talk to you about is right here." 11:30 a.m. Executive Boardroom. David stepped out of the private elevator, his partially sheared braids a stark symbol of the morning's events. At the head of a long mahogany table sat his father, Dr. Tunde Adebayo, a world-renowned surgeon, and the newly appointed chairman of the board for Mercy General. His eyes, full of quiet power, took in his son's appearance. His expression didn't change, but a muscle in his jaw tightened. "Gentlemen," Dr. Adebayo announced to the room of stunned executives, "before we announce the new chief, my son has an incident to report." David calmly connected his phone to the room's monitor. Chloe's live stream, now with over 15,000 viewers, filled the screen. 30 minutes ago, David said, his voice clear and strong, Dr. Alan Vance assaulted me in the pediatric ward in front of at least 10 staff members. The room watched in horror as the video played out. The racist jokes, the metallic glint of the scissors, the laughter. Simultaneously, in the pediatric ward, Dr. Vance stood frozen, the scissors falling from his limp hand. The hospital's CEO, a man named Richard Sterling, appeared, his face ashen. "Alan, my office, now." 1 week later, the pediatric ward felt different. A new plaque was on the wall. The Adebayo Initiative, dignity, respect, and zero tolerance. Dr. Vance was gone. His termination was immediate. His medical license under review by the state board. He'd lost everything in a matter of minutes because he couldn't see the boy, only his prejudice. David stood with his father, watching a new group of diverse interns get their orientation. His braids were gone, replaced by a short, neat haircut, but it was his choice, not a violation. "You handled that with grace, my son," Dr. Adebayo said, placing a proud hand on his shoulder. "Vengeance is easy. Building something better is hard." David's actions had sparked a revolution at Mercy General. The Adebayo Initiative was a multi-million-dollar program funded personally by his family to overhaul hiring practices, implement mandatory bias training, and create scholarships for underprivileged students wanting to enter medicine. The story went viral, but the real victory wasn't the clicks. It was the quiet, systemic change happening within the hospital walls. David knew he wouldn't forget the humiliation, but he wouldn't be defined by it either. He had learned that true power wasn't about the title on your door or the watch on your wrist. It was about having the strength to stand up to injustice and the wisdom to turn a wound into a force for healing. Have you ever witnessed injustice at school or work and felt powerless to stop it? Share your story in the comments. Your voice has power. If this story resonated with you, subscribe to Black Fables for more powerful tales of wisdom, resilience, and justice. Together, we can rewrite the narrative.